Yankees get swept by the Red Sox again. 0-6 against Boston this year. This team is not very good, folks. They're not the Baltimores of the Arizonas of the league, but they're just a team that is not good at a lot of things. A lot of things that you need to be a successful team. And against Boston and Tampa and Toronto, and even Baltimore to a degree, they're terrible against the division. So that's now 0-6 against Boston, 5-8 against Tampa, 6-6 against Toronto, and 6-4 against Baltimore. It's the best division in baseball, and the Yankees are not getting it done within the division. So, sure, are they going to win their games outside the division? Yeah. But it doesn't matter when Boston just looks like a better fun. Like Alex Cora is such a better manager than Aaron Boone, and the way Boston plays philosophically, structurally, is better than the Yankees, and that's an indictment on Brian Cashman. So, yeah, this is extremely disappointing. And, in hindsight, not all that surprising. But the lack of offense is just a joke. Complete joke. It's not even worth naming players individually. It's a collective. And, yeah, this shouldn't be forgotten when the Yankees, let's just say it's even this week, which I don't even know. So the Yankees' next series is back to the stadium. They have a 4-game set home against the Angels, who have Shohei Ohtani, but no Mike Trout. But the point is, even if the Yankees somehow did win 3 out of 4, let's say, and the vibe improves, it's hard to really get too excited when you know what's going to happen when the Yankees play these top divisional foes. They've done well against other good teams in the league. They won a series against the Astros. They won a series against Oakland. They won a series against Cleveland. They swept the White Sox. But when it comes to Tampa and Boston, it's been terrible, and that should be concerning. No, make no mistakes about it. That should be very concerning. This does not look like a playoff team. Not even close. We haven't reached the halfway point of the season, but we've also played enough games now where we know this is kind of what they are. And, players like DJ LeMahieu, he is improving. You kind of knew that might happen, and he's kind of one of the bright spots. But, Gary Sanchez, we know, has gotten better. So there's been some things that have been pleasant surprises, I guess, but mostly really bad. And I really, there's not going to be a whole lot to talk about in this series, but Garrett Cole, just really bad. So last game of the series, trying to avoid the sweep, and he just gets, and he has, to my knowledge, his worst start of the season. Really fucking bad. So, yeah, and he'd only given up, out of its 13 out of 15 starts, he'd only given up 2 runs or fewer in those starts. So, but the Yankees' record in his games, I believe now is like 500. I didn't be below 5. It's right around there. And that speaks to not any run support and the bullpen blowing games for him. But today, it was on him. Completely shit the bed when the Yankees needed him. So, game 1, Domingo Germán versus Martin Perez. And Domingo Germán has been bad lately as well. And with and it makes it tougher when, with his off-the-field stuff and the domestic abuse, not that when he does well, the feeling should be any different, but when he does poorly, it's like, fuck this guy. Why are you even here? And he's been bad, and he can't field. Domingo Germán, cannot field. He's not fucking Bartolo Colon on the mound. Actually, it's not even a good example. Sometimes he was a decent fielder. The point is, he's athletic enough. Why are you such a bad fielder? So, that's another thing. But yeah, so in this one, against the lefties, they've been going with the Judge and center alignment with Andujar on left and Frazier in right, and that's just a mess. Andujar on left, Frazier in right is a complete mess. You can't have both of them in the lineup. You just can't. I think Andujar should probably get more run than Clint between the two, but you can make the case for either one. But then the other problem is that Gardner should not be playing center field as much as he does. So complete mess in terms of you have 2 outfield spots that are really bad. Not to mention a team that's extremely slow. They can't field, and they're terrible on the bases. And that was apparent in game one. Phil Nevin was just a terrible send. We'll get into that. Yeah, Martin Perez on the mound for Boston. Gio Urshela back in the lineup. He played each game in the series. It would already begin in the first inning. Boston would get a leadoff single by Michael Chavis. Then Alex Verdugo gets a single. JD Martinez lines out. Chavis steals third. And then Xander Bogaerts, who is just so good, so underrated, a professional hitter, and better than anyone that the Yankees have, gets a 2-run double. 21st double of the year at that point. And then after a strikeout to Rafael Devers would be Hunter Renfroe gets an RBI double, gives the Red Sox a 3-0 lead. So right away, Yankees did not have the lead in any 3 games this series. None. So the reason why the Yankees get so many comeback wins is because they don't take the lead. They're always playing from behind. Just part of the way it goes. And then in the second, the Yankees would get 3 runs, and it would be the 3 runs that they would score in the game. Giancarlo Stanton walks, Luke Voit singles, Gleyber Torres strikes out looking, and then Gio reaches on an error by Bogaerts. So these runs were actually unearned, as Miguel Andujar continues those struggles with runners in scoring position and runners under less than 2 outs, strikes out looking. So that leads you to a bases-loaded 2-out situation where Clint Frazier walks. He will do that every now and then. But there's cons that come with that. But Frazier walks, scores a run, and then DJ LeMahieu, like I said, the bright spot in this series, gets a 2-run single to the opposite field. When DJ's going to the opposite field, good things happen, and that ties it up at 3. It would stay that way until the bottom of the third. Gleyber hits a double play in the top of the third, so Gleyber, at this point, his struggles continue. The Yankees' double play habits continue. And so in the bottom of the third, JD Martinez leadoff walk, wild pitch gets him to second. Bogaerts lines out, no advance. And then Rafael Devers hits an easy ground ball to Herman. This is where the game pretty much turns here. And he just bobbles it. Like 3 times. He had so many chances. It was the easiest ground ball. Everyone's safe, first and third. And what did the Red Sox do? Hunter Renfroe sac fly. There was a lot of that. Fundamentally sound baseball from Boston. First, they take advantage of the mistake. Sac fly Renfroe. Red Sox take the lead and they wouldn't look back. Top of the fourth is where Phil Nevin just does a terrible job. Gio Urshela doubles. And he actually barely gets in there. A little bit of a risky decision by Gio, but it works. Then Miguel Andujar singles to right. Now, first off, kudos to Miguel Andujar, who gets that hit with runners in scoring position, but there's no outs. Gio Urshela is just coming back off injury, isn't fast to begin with, and Hunter Renfroe has one of the best arms in all of baseball. What does Phil Nevin decide to do? Let's send him on in. What a fucking stupid decision to do that. I mean, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And Gio's out. There goes any chance that inning. And Martin Perez would actually be replaced in the fourth. So they got to Perez pretty well, and then the bullpen completely shuts them down. And it would be former Yankees that would do it as well. So Herman ends up pitching 4 innings. Lucas Licky comes in, pitches a clean 5th. Garrett Whitlock comes in. So Garrett Whitlock is a former Yankee farmhand. The Red Sox got him in the Rule 5 draft this offseason. So the Yankees left him unprotected. And now the Red Sox got him, and he has been great for them. And that's just an example of, Boston improving a player that may have had some flaws with the Yankees, and the Yankees losing someone to your arch rival when there's guys that it looks like he's a lot better than. Would he have been good as a Yankee? I have no idea. So Whitlock pitches a scoreless 6th. Then Licky gets 2 outs in the 6th. Jonathan Loáisiga replaces him, gets an out. So the Licky-Loáisiga combo works. Lucas Licky continues to be really good. And same for Jonathan Loáisiga for the most part, except for a couple of blemishes. And Whitlock then pitches a 1-2-3 7th. So just really bad for the Yankees. Loáisiga pitches a good bottom of the 7th. And then another former Yankee, Adam Ottavino, comes in. Adam Ottavino, I did not want him as a Yankee anymore. The contract was too much. It wasn't working him. He was a choke. And when they traded him to Boston, I didn't mind it at all. I didn't, admittedly. What I'll go back and say is this, and this is a complete second guess. You gotta trade him maybe not to Boston. Like, fine, if you want to trade him out of the division. Don't, risk the chance that he becomes good. It's one thing, we'll talk about Nate Eovaldi. Nate Eovaldi, he signed with Boston, or no, I forget how he got there. Did Tampa trade him? I forget exactly how he landed in Boston, but it wasn't directly from the Yanks. We literally traded him to the Red Sox. So Ottavino strikes out Stanton, strikes out Voit, and then Torres lines out. So it's still a one-run game. In the eighth, Zach Britton comes in. Devers flies out, and then Britton hurts his hamstring. Zach Britton, extremely injury-prone, back on the IL. He thinks it won't be long-term. It probably won't be. He'll probably be back fairly shortly, but it's been a disastrous season for him, and this is a guy that gets hurt a lot. And it's not so much always arm injuries, too. It's a lot of lower body stuff. So Britton, and also Wandy Peralta would also hit the IL at this game, and that might have been part of the reason why we hadn't seen Wandy too much lately. So Albert Abreu, who would pitch in Game 2, is on the roster, and Brooks Kriske would pitch in Game 3, and terribly. I would expect Brooks Kriske to be gone very quickly, as Darren O'Day and Justin Wilson should be back within the next couple of days. So they certainly take Kriske's spot, and probably Abreu as well, I would think. So Sessa replaces Britton. It was a full count on Renfroe when he came in, and then it's a walk. So Renfroe walks, Hernandez grounds out, so it's runner on second, and then Christian Vasquez gets a key RBI single to give Boston a 5-3 lead. So it goes to the ninth, and the Yankees would mount a rally against Matt Barnes. Matt Barnes has struggled against the Yankees. It would be a single by Gio and a single by Andujar. Wade would pinch run for Andujar at this point. They could have done a couple of things here. I mean, you could have pinch hit Gardner and bunted. You could have pinch hit Odor, or you could stick with Frazier. I had no preference. In hindsight being 2020, I wish that they bunted. But you're on the road, you're down 2, we can't really get clutch hits to begin with, so you don't really want to go that route. But Clint strikes out. I mean, Clint Frazier has just simply been bad this year. Extremely disappointing after he was really good last year. I believe Clint Frazier's OPS last year would be the highest OPS on the team this year. He was legitimately good. Shorter sample size, but just, really bad. So Clint strikes out, and then Gardner pinch runs for Gio. At this point I'm thinking maybe DJ just take a pitch. I mean, even though it would have been an obvious double steal, and the Yankees would never do it. Ever do it. But I would have liked them to try to do a double steal, and then maybe you get a 2-run single for LeMahieu. They don't. And what does LeMahieu do? An easy 6-4-3 double play to end the game. So it's the DP, rears its ugly head again. Yankees lose 5-3. But to me, that was the game that could have been won more than any of the other ones. That just starts off a really rough weekend. Game 2, Jordan Montgomery versus former Yankee Nate Eovaldi. Eovaldi destroyed the Yankees, which he mostly has. I mean, I guess there's been some clunkers, but since he's been a Red Sox, it feels like Eovaldi has gotten the better of the Yankees. It's disappointing. He's been pretty good for Boston. Better than he was as a Yankee. And I guess I shouldn't be that surprised. Jordan Montgomery pitched pretty well in this game, actually. The line is not exactly indicative of – there was a lot of soft contact. I thought he kind of acquitted himself pretty well against, in a tough park against a lot of good right-handed hitters. He was certainly the best starter the Yankees had. And honestly, with Kluber getting hurt, Montgomery's probably been the number 2 this year, which in and of itself is not great. In this game, they would actually switch Gio up to 6 and move Gleyber down to 7, which was deserved at that point. I mean, absolutely. But Gleyber in the last 2 games offensively would look a lot better. I'll give him that. He did. It wouldn't necessarily see it in the box score, but he was hitting the ball harder. But the defense, especially in Game 3, was bad. So in the bottom of the second, I mean, the ball, Xander hits an infield single to Montgomery. Then Montgomery walks Devers. Then Renfroe gets an infield single. And then it's a sac fly for Hernandez. Devers moves to third. Sac fly for Dahlback. And on this sac fly, Luke Voit, horrible job by Luke Voit. It was in foul territory. It should not have been a sacrifice fly, but Voit kind of went after it nonchalantly. Just really, really bad. And great base running by Rafael Devers. It's a combination of the two. So the Red Sox make it 2-0 right there. So in the bottom of the third, 2-out rally as Bogarts doubles. And then Devers gets an infield single that was originally ruled out and then then they made it safe. Honestly, he might have been safe, but there was no conclusive evidence to overturn that. They should have kept that as out. But it was just one of those weekends. Nothing was going the Yankees' way. And then it continues as Hunter Renfroe gets an RBI infield hit where the Yankees were shifting him. LeMahieu had to move over. And unfortunately, I'm not sure if LeMahieu lost grip of the ball or had to double clutch or whatever. That operation didn't go smoothly. And so Renfroe was safe. And so that made it 3-0. And so Eovaldi just continuing to do well. Montgomery settling down, even though he hadn't really been doing that poorly to begin with. And in the top of the sixth, the big at-bat would be Gardner would strike out to start the inning, and then LeMahieu singles, Judge singles, and then Gary Sanchez, you guessed it, double play. So Montgomery would pitch through 6. He would go 6 innings and give up 3 runs. And in the bottom of the 7th, Albert Abreu would come on, and Chavis would get a leadoff single, then a strikeout. Then JD Martinez doubles on a play where Aaron Judge dove for it and couldn't get it. It was a tough play, but it was in his glove. We've seen him make it before. And then, of course, Xander Bogaerts gets a sacrifice fly. 3 sacrifice flies for Boston and an infield single to score those runs. So it's 4-0 at this point. But the Yankees show a little bit of fight. Top of the 8th, with 2 outs and no one on, DJ LeMahieu hits a home run to right. So good job by DJ. Makes it 4-1. Eovaldi's out of the game, and in comes Sawamura, who also pitched the first game. Judge walks, Sanchez walks, and Stanton walks. And the Stanton walk almost felt like, all right, we want Ottavino to face Voit. And that was exactly the matchup. So Ottavino comes in and gets Voit 2 ground out. And Ottavino wouldn't stop there, although it wasn't all successful, but he would get the job done. Abreu pitches a scoreless 8th, and in the top of the 9th, Urshela flies out, Gleyber singles, Odor pinch hits for Andujar as Ottavino's very tough on righties. Andujar grounds out. He would be safe at first. Gardner works a walk. LeMahieu, as the tying run, gets a big RBI single. 4-2. Ottavino's thrown a lot of pitches. Judge was going to be his last batter, and Judge had a good game up to this point, but in a really big spot. 4-2, first and second, 2 out. Ottavino would eventually strike Judge out on ball 3. So the comeback doesn't work. They lock it down, and they lose the series at this point. Now they're trying to avoid the sweep, and they didn't. They get swept. They're playing the Red Sox. And it would be Eduardo Rodriguez, who's been terrible this year. Eduardo Rodriguez, after this game, had a 5.83 ERA, but it was above 6 going in. And then Garrett Cole for the Yankees. And keep in mind, Kyle Higashioka would catch Cole again, which I'm not surprised about. We'll see if that continues. First pitch, Kike Hernandez, gone. Green Monster. So it's 1-0 Red Sox. Then Verdugo doubles. Then JD Martinez walks. Then Bogaerts finds out to Andujar. It ends up not really making a difference, but Andujar should have just thrown it into second base. Because he doesn't, JD Martinez, so it ends up being second and third where it should have been first and third. Here's where the game ends right here, effectively. Rafael Devers, it's second and third. There's an empty base at first, but you're not going to intentionally walk him at that part of the game, but you got to pitch careful to him. Cole gets ahead of him 0-2. As I've seen this year with Cole a lot, just throws it right down the middle on 0-2. No reason for that against Rafael Devers. And what does he do? He hits it 450 feet. Bomb. 3-run homer for Devers. 4-0 Red Sox. And that's ball game. Rodriguez would pitch pretty well. And in the bottom of the third, Yankees would have a chance in the top of the third. First and second, 1 out, and Judge would strike out looking, and then Voit would ground out on a nice play by Marwin Gonzalez. Then JD Martinez leads off the third with a homer, makes it 5-0, and eventually in that inning, there would be an error by Gleyber on the next batter. Xander Bogaerts singles, and then there's an E6 as Gleyber throws it away. And so his defense was a problem today, and it's just been a mess of a season for Gleyber, and it was a bad season last year as well. So eventually in this inning, what is it? Sac fly. That's what Boston does. Christian Vasquez, and it makes it 6-0. Cole would end up going 5. And in the top of the 6th, Rodriguez was still in there. And LeMahieu gets a single, and then Aaron Judge gets a 2-run homer. I wish he could have had that homer at the end of the second game, but I digress. So it's 6-2. Sessa pitches a clean 6th in relief of Cole. And Then in the 7th, Darwinzon Hernandez comes in for Rodriguez, and this is when the Yankees get their big chance. Glaber strikes out looking, but then Andujar walks and Frazier singles. Here comes Garrett Whitlock. So here we go again. It's Ottavino, Eovaldi, Whitlock again. Sanchez pinch hits for Higashioka and walks. So you got bases loaded, 1 out for your hottest hitter right now. I mean, I guess Sanchez or LeMahieu, but LeMahieu strikes out looking. And you can't kill him because he's been good lately, but it hurts just because of how much of a machine he had been the previous 2 seasons. And then Aaron Judge would pop out to first. So that was the big chance. They don't get it done. And then in the bottom of the 7th, with Cessa still on the mound, it's a 2-out rally, 2-out double for Bogaerts, his 23rd double of the season. I understand that part of that has to do with the ballpark. Fenway breeds a lot of doubles, but still, he's great. And then Rafael Devers gets an RBI single. So that combo works again, makes it 7-2. And Gio would, since I need to keep track of the double plays, Gio would ground into a double play in the top of the 8th. Brooks Kriske, who is horrible in mop-up duty, would give up a home run to Christian Vasquez and eventually an RBI double to Kike Hernandez. Makes it 9-2. Red Sox win it 9-2. And yeah, Yankees get swept again by Boston, really bad. And now it's a 4-game set against the Angels. So the Angels come into town. For these 4 games, it will be Dylan Bundy against Michael King. Bundy has a terrible ERA in the season, but this could go either way. Michael King is not someone that you really trust. He's been, at best, serviceable, but that might be generous. But Bundy has a 6.68 ERA, so you like to think they could at least get some offense going, but with the Yankees, who the hell knows? And then game 2 is Andrew Heaney against Jameson Taillon. Taillon coming off a good outing. He's been good at home, so this should be another kind of toss-up type one. Heaney has had some good stuff in his career, but not a great season for him. And then it's Shohei Ohtani against Domingo Germán. Can't love that matchup unless Ohtani just walks a lot of guys, which he can at certain points, but you got to give the Angels an edge on that one. And then the last one is Griffin Canning versus Jordan Montgomery. So maybe the Yankees can take that one. So yeah, it's going to be somewhere around a split. 4-game set. Would be happy with 3 out of 4, but I'm not expecting it. I'm certainly down on them right now, but who knows? You're out of the division. Maybe you get some wins, but either way, Yankees need a shake up, and we'll see if it comes soon.